Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to NFR. Welcome back to SAFRL. And after lots of cursing in the comms box, it seems like we finally have the broadcast working. We had a few viewers in here already when I ended the first stream, so hopefully we can get those viewers back. If you're in the comment section, just if you don't mind sharing the video. I'm running a little late today, so let's just try and catch up with what's been going on. Obviously just the one qualifying session, 18 minutes long. We've missed 2/3 of that. Just got 6.5 minutes remaining in the session. As you can see by the conditions, challenging conditions. Brand's the quickest man out on track. He's currently in the pits. Logic P2 also in the pits. Then the fastest of the drivers currently out on track. It's Faree currently in P3. Then we've got Cheddar P4. He's on an outlap, followed by his teammate Carnboy. Then Tiago Maestro in P6. Spikes P7. Virus P8. Divan P9. And Mango making up the top 10. Top 2 remain in the pits for now. Also just let me know in the comment section if the stream appears okay, if the sound is fine. Lots of drama prior to the broadcast, but we got going just in time. Missed a bit of quali, but at least we'll get all of the race. This is one of the Aston Martins. Both of the Aston Martins currently outside the top 10. This is Andre, 28.4. His teammate down on a 29.5. The Aston Martins so far just not enjoying the weather. Maybe just not enjoying the similar layout. It's really one of those tracks that if you're just in tune with the circuit and you're able to get the most out of it, but sometimes the track just doesn't want to work for you. Of course, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. The reason it has that name is because F1 has some very silly rules that are very easy to sidestep. The rule in this case is that a country cannot have more than one Grand Prix. As we know, F1 has broken its own rules there, but it's very easy to do because all you need to do is don't call it by its country. The US Grand Prix is still at COTA. Then you've got the Vegas Grand Prix and the Miami Grand Prix, and this isn't the second Italian Grand Prix, no, it's the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. So long as you call it something else, you can have multiple races in a country. Brand's still the quickest. He's actually out on an outlap. Logic in the pits in P2. It's Faree on an outlap again, looking to find something more, put himself up onto that front row of the grid. This is Divan. Try and bring up some stats for you so you can see what is going on and who is where. The tyre situation, an important one. Looks like the entire field is on a set of intermediate tyres. Divan in P4. He did that with a set of wets. Just one of those complicated scenarios right here. You don't know if it's inches, you don't know if it's wets. Track is currently in a crossover point. Track's sort of working for both compounds almost. Don't really know what compound you're supposed to be on. Divan dives into the pits. Tiago Maestro, the other driver, on the wet compound. There was only 2 of them. One of them has since dived into the pits. This is Tiago, but these are some pretty old tyres. 7 laps on the wet tyre. And I wonder if we can expect more of this weather going into the race. Brands was out front for the longest time. Mango was just outside the top 10. Well, now he's taken provisional pole position away from Brands, but the lap times are coming down. Now Convoy into provisional pole. Wonder if the track's just getting a little better, or if the drivers are just getting more used to the conditions. As you get more used to the conditions, your confidence begins to rise. You start to throw the car into the corners a little harder. You start to brake a little later. And now Brands takes that provisional pole right back, a 122.4 for the Red Bull driver. Just a very busy racetrack with just over a minute to go. Everybody's scrambling to have one more run. Mango's not going to be able to do that. He's being pushed back into the pits as we speak. Everybody else is out on the race circuit, so 13 cars on the race circuit with just a minute to go. This field is far from settled. The track may be getting better. We see a purple sector there from Cheddar. I think that was sector 1. Quickest in sector 1 of everyone. That is Cheddar, currently in P6. He's just lost another position. Looking to this lap to get him up the field. It's Ferree. Now it's Ferree has just set the fastest first sector of the session so far. He's currently in P2, 23.0. If he wanted to take pole position away, he'd have to find himself an entire 6/10 of a second, so lots of work to do. Done the first part of that. He's got sector 1 just right, got the purple. Now he is much quicker in sector 2. Look at that, he's definitely up on that time. Cheddar has defended that time and brought it down even a little further. He's taken provisional pole. For a second it looked like its Ferree was definitely on target for pole position, but then Cheddar just came and moved the goalpost a little bit. But this could be enough to get his Ferree onto the front row. Doesn't dive into the pits. That means he knows there's an improvement. And it is good enough for the front row. Goes up into P2. Just not quite enough to get up to Cheddar. 2/10 away. This is Brands. Currently P3. Held provisional pole for most of the session. And Logic's come from nowhere. 121.5. If you thought the low 22 was good, well, think again. 121.5 is your new provisional pole time. Is anybody going to get close? This is Brands. His battery's almost depleted. I think he's on an in lap. Is there anybody else still out on track? Virus on track. Mr. Rem on track. Mr. M has taken the checkered flag, so will there be any other improvements? I think Divan is the only driver still out on track. Brands, again, 21.4. Goodness me, 1/10 of a second covers the top two, and the final horse on the track now pulls into the circuit. Good evening to Skull, good evening to Panda. If I haven't greeted you, it's because I don't know you're here. Leave a comment, let me know you're here, let me know you're watching. Apologies about the stream earlier on, we were having all sorts of trouble, but we got it right just in time. Gonna get to see the race, that's the important part, that's where the guys pick up the points. Of course, pole position, qualifying rather, is very important. It determines where you're going to start the race from. But anyone who's been racing, league racing for long enough, knows that starting in pole does not guarantee you a win, even if you are the quickest man out on track. We've seen penalties, we've seen safety cars, we've seen races thrown on their head. So there are your official results. Brands takes pole position 21.4, then just a 10th and a half behind is Logic in P2. Then on the second row, we've got Cheddar and Convoy. They're followed by It's Ferree Mango, Spikes, Mr. Rem, Virus, and Pantry Star making up the top 10. Not in the top 10 with a little bit of work to do. Not Shumi P11. We know he's incredibly quick. Then Tiago Maestro P12, Divan 13, and Andre will make up the field. And we're back, and it's race time. Of course, now all the drivers will be sitting to the right of our screen. They'll be on the start-finish line doing final preparations for their race. Things like what tire will they start on? How far are you planning to go into this race? Are you planning to pit early? Are you planning to pit much later than the rest of the field? Of course, a Grand Prix that returned to the calendar in 2024. This Grand Prix was cancelled last year due to severe weather. Not the sort of weather the wets were going to, not even the wets were going to be able to deal with that sort of weather. The F1 trucks and trailers were floating behind the pit lane. I see we're up to 11 viewers. Of course, let me know in the comment section if you're here. Let me know who you're supporting. We should get the dual green lights. Yes, we do. Dual green lights. That means we're off for a formation lap. We're going to have 14 runners as we did last week here in Tier 1. And a reminder to everyone at home, of course this isn't a field of 20, just the 14 drivers, but it's really the quality of the field you should be paying attention to. These drivers are incredibly quick. A lap time that could put you in pole in many other leagues will barely keep you in the top 10. Times very close together. Any sort of a mistake on the circuit can cost you 3 or 4 positions in the qualifying sheets, which means we will have drivers that are much quicker than those timesheets suggest. Watch out for the Alpine of Notsumi, watch out for the Williams of Tiago Maestro, Divan, Andre, all of those drivers, quick drivers starting outside the top 10. So lots of potential for them. Of course, Imola, known for its safety cars. So don't expect a 100% clean race, and if you do get one, you're lucky. Of course, if you're just joining us, you're joining us just in time. These are the closing stages of the formation lap. We've had qualifying. Fortunately, we missed half of it on the stream, but we got there just in time. And now we're here for the important bit. Brands just going slowly, trying to back up the field, doesn't want to sit on that P1 grid slot for too long by himself, cooling down the tires. That's the last thing you want into turn 1. You want those as up to temperature as they could possibly be. Again, terrible camera angle, don't blame me, blame the game. We should get a better one shortly. At least we'll have a good view of the red lights. There we go. 4 red lights, 5 red lights. There's a pause. They'll go out and we'll be on our way. Brands from Logic, from Cheddar, from Convoy. It's a Red Bull versus an Alpine, and then a pair of Mercedes just behind them. Who's going to go into turn 1 first? It is the Red Bull. Red Bull in the lead. Then we've got Logic holding on to his position. Cheddar and Convoy, the two teammates, running line astern. Then it's Free in P5. He's lost a couple of positions very early on. Then Spikes P6, the first of the two Ferraris. Virus P7. Virus actually just fallen down to P8. Mango's made up a position, so now the Ferrari's also running line astern. P6, P7. Virus down to P8 as I mentioned. Then Mr. M, P9, Pantrastar making up the points positions. Just outside the points, not Shumi. Trying to change that. Then Tiago Maestro, Divan and Andre. That order at the rear has not changed. At the front, Brands leads the way from Logic. That's the order they started in. Cheddar P3, Convoy P4. Good start for the pair of Mercedes. It's Ferrari, not the start he would have wanted, and now he's coming under all sorts of pressure from the Ferrari drivers. Spikes and Mango. Hopefully the teammates that are running line astern can manage themselves a little bit better than McLaren managed themselves yesterday. Obviously Branch just setting the fastest lap. That's because there's only been one lap and he's the man in the lead. Those lap times will come down as the race goes on. Shumi still P11, Tiago Maestro P12, Divan, no changes at the rear of the field there. Everybody holding station for now. That will change when DRS becomes available. Brands, Logic. Then the two Mercedes. Cheddar and Convoy. In fact, that is a strong Mercedes lineup. Keep this up. A 1-2 could be on the cards. Also got Mango and Spikes, also a strong team lineup. Mango has just made the overtake on his teammates. So Spikes and Mango, the two Ferraris, just trading places. Now Mango will have a go at catching its Ferrari up the road. Brand's fastest lap. Convoy takes that away from him. Convoy, the fastest man out on circuit. That's the man in P4. He's currently stuck behind his teammate. Mercedes may have to work together. Of course, if the teammates do get involved in some sort of battle, it's going to take their focus away from P1 and 2. It means Logic and Brands could disappear into the distance. So they don't want to engage with each other right now. They need to work together, clear these leaders, and then they can think about engaging yet again. Lap 3 of 32, had to do a double take there. Thought I saw 52, but luckily that's not the case. Just 32 laps. Of elevation change, natural elevation change at this circuit. 37 meters elevation change throughout the circuit. So lots of ups, lots of dips. Now Logic takes control of the lead, does he? No, he doesn't. Brands holds on. We've got a car going sideways there in the background. We didn't see what it was. It's Cheddar. Cheddar. I think it was Cheddar that went sideways. He's just losing momentum. He might still be passed by a Ferrari here. Holds on to the position just ahead of Spikes, but that was Cheddar. Just lost the back end of the car. We didn't see if there was any contact there. It looked like he just lost it on his own. If that's not the case, then apologies to the driver. We didn't see any sort of collision. That means Cheddar goes down to P6 and he's given himself a bit of a handful. At least for Convoy, doesn't need to worry about his teammate now, can focus on the two ahead of him. It's Ferrari still pretty close behind, so still needs to keep an eye on his mirrors. Can't get too reckless. Already had one Mercedes going the wrong way. We don't want to see the other Mercedes go the wrong way. This is Mango. He traded places with his Ferrari teammate, and I think he did so at a crucial time, because we saw that Cheddar was just able to stay ahead of Spikes. So I think if Mango had stayed behind his teammate, that Mercedes would be in front of both of them. So that's the difference strategy between teammates can make. Just letting your teammate go half a lap earlier could make all the difference to his race position later on in the race. Brand still leads. That position has come under attack once or twice, but he's defended it, he's held on to it, not ready to let it go. Logic has held firm in P2. He's had all sorts of action behind him. He had two Mercedes behind him. One of those Mercedes lost its way. Still has Convoy there. It's Free not far behind. Then we've got a bit of a breather down to Mango in P5. It's a 2.3 second gap. Then we have Cheddar, Spikes. I wonder if Cheddar's got any damage on that car. Doesn't appear to be the case. These cars are getting built stronger and stronger every year. Of course, you saw Max Verstappen leaving the tarmac yesterday. Very hard land. Somehow still finished the race. At the front, Logic, Brands, Convoy now trading places. Logic takes the lead of the race for the first time. Brands doesn't have a clean racetrack in front of him for the first time in this race. He's going to want to take that position back, and he's going to want to take it back quickly because he's coming under all sorts of pressure from Convoy. Wants to keep that Alpine in between him and the Mercedes, and now all of a sudden he's feeling the pressure. He's in P2. He's going to open up DRS and try come right back at Logic, take that position back. One thing we haven't looked at yet in this race is the tyre selection. Everybody there, top four, all on a set of mediums. Then the next two, the Ferraris, 5 and 6, they're on the hard compounds. And the Ferraris trying something different from the rest of the field. Speaking of the Ferraris, Mango. I thought Mango made up a position, but that was Spike's losing positions. So one of the Ferraris now going backwards. Spike's in P12 outside the points. Big mistake from the second Ferrari. Now we have 5 manufacturers in the top 5. Alpine, Red Bull, Mercedes, RB and Ferrari. That's Logic, Brands, Convoy, Free and Mango. Top 4 still very, very close together in the early stages of the race. It's lap 7 of 32. And now, there were already a few. I only mentioned it now because one of them now is one of the leaders. One of the prospects for a race victory has just picked up his first penalty. It's only lap 7. It's only lap 7. We're not even a third of the distance and guys already picking up penalties. It's quite worrying to think what will be there once they get to the checkered flag. Remember, penalties can cost you races. And if you have a late safety car, well, not only will it cost you a race, it will destroy your race. So at the front, Logic took the lead. Brands hasn't been able to come back at him just yet. Still in P2, still holding firm, just half a second. I saw that too, Panda. I think, don't know what happened there. Didn't really notice the penalties, and then in a matter of a few corners, half the field picking up penalties. So the guys are going to have to tiptoe around those white lines for the rest of the race. The last thing you want to do is convert a 3-second penalty into a 6-second penalty and beyond, because that's just going to give you an incredibly tough time in a field that is so close. 6 or 9 seconds could take you right from the midfield and throw you out of the points positions. Everything going well for now. Lap 8 of 32. We haven't had any breakages. We've had 1 or 2 yellow flags, but no virtuals, no safety cars. I think pretty much all the drivers will be happy with that, because everybody started on a set of mediums or hards, so nobody was looking to come into the pits early to get rid of a set of tyres. Sometimes you get that early safety car, you're on the hard compound, you have no intention of pitting, and it's just a little annoying. It puts the brakes on your race. There's the potential to just break your concentration. But so far, none of these drivers have had to worry about stoppages in the race. Everything going smoothly, and that's really impressive, because with some of the racing we've seen wheel to wheel, we've seen side by side. Haven't seen anybody with major damage. As I say that, Natsumi looks like he's quite away from the rest of the field, so I'm sure he's done a pit stop he didn't intend on doing. Just to bring up your penalties real quick, we've got 3 seconds apiece for Brands, who's now your leader of the race. Then Mango also 3 seconds, Cheddar 3 seconds, Virus 3 seconds. Got Natsumi at the rear of the field with 3 seconds. And then Divan, well, he's winning the penalty race. He's on 9 seconds, and it's lap 9. Panda saying that it seems to be the chicane in sector 3. Sometimes you're defending, you want to defend that inside line, you go too much to the inside, you cut the corner, maybe it's on the exit, just trying to get the best exit possible. Run a little wide over the curb, and sometimes the game doesn't like that. So Logic leads, crucially for him, no penalties next to his name, and oh goodness, the man with the most penalties, 9 seconds worth of penalties on lap 9, well, he's picked up a 10-second penalty on lap 10. So he's up to 19 seconds, of course he'll be able to serve 10 of those seconds at his next pit stop. Logic leads from Brands, he'll have that one peace of mind that the driver behind him does have a penalty. Panda saying it's just probably the exit of the chicane rather than cutting corners. That's how it usually is. Nobody wants to take too much curb on the inside. It usually unsettles the car. The invalid laps usually come on the outside of the circuit. Just trying to get on the power when the car's not quite ready. Run wide over the curbs. And many times you'll feel like that shouldn't have been a penalty. Don't know if we had an incident at the back or if that was the internet playing up, but Cheddar, he's come into the pits, thought he lost a bunch of positions, but that's not the case, he's in the pits. At the front, it's still Logic versus Brands. These guys have been matching each other lap after lap, still very close together at this stage in the race. Panda let me know what sort of tyre life are we looking at here for the mediums. Pitting round about lap 13, lap 14, that's my prediction, but you guys know a lot better than me. You spend a lot more time out on the track, so let me know what you think these medium runners are doing. Mango's in P3, and remember we said the Ferraris went out on a different strategy. They stuck out like a sore thumb. They were the only 2 runners on a set of hards. The race hasn't really gone the way Spikes would have wanted. He went backwards earlier on in the race, but Mango's still doing a fantastic job. He's gained a few positions because of pit stops around him, but now he's in P3, set of hard tyres. He's going to go deeper into the race than the 2 in front of him, and then more importantly, remember you start the race on the softer of the compounds. You're going to have the advantage at the start of the race. You're going to have more grip, but at the end of the race you're going to have to finish on the harder of the compounds, and everybody who did the hard work in the beginning of the race, dealing with those hards on a full fuel tank, well, they're going to enjoy the pleasures of a much lighter car and a much faster tyre in the closing stages of the race. So at the moment, Mango in P3, but looking strong. Panda just confirming round about lap 13, 14 for the medium runners, and then approximately lap 20 for the hard runners. Of course, you see a lot of hard runners there on your track, on your screen, but the only one we're talking about right now are those three: Spikes, Andre, Mango. Those are the three hard runners that originally started on hards. All the other hard runners you see on the track, they have since made a pit stop, got rid of their mediums. Another 10-second penalty, this time for Virus. The guys making it difficult for themselves. Just so many penalties. It's so tough when you're in a battle with somebody, matching each other lap after lap. Then it's time for that pit window. Last thing you want to do is get jumped in the pits. You race down the pit entry, you want to get on the brakes as late as possible for that speed limiter, and sometimes, well, you jump on the brakes just a little too late. It can cost you 10 seconds. So trying to make up those extra few tenths can get you a 10-second penalty that's going to give you the exact opposite result of what you're trying to achieve. This is for Ree in the RB in P4. I'm sure the RBs would love to have a P4 drive. Natsumi now picking up yet another penalty. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers from the 14 to have penalties. That means half the field has penalties, half do not, and we're not at halfway distance. So I think things are going to get very messy at the end. It's going to be one of those races where I can't read out your results until the official results come out, because they're going to have to work out all these penalties and find out who finishes where. Just have a look at them again. Brand still has that 3-second penalty. Now Mango has increased his penalties tally all the way up to 6 seconds. 3 seconds for Convoy, 3 seconds for Cheddar, and then we've got 16 seconds on Virus, 6 seconds on Natsumi, and Divan, well, 22 seconds. For reference, those 22 seconds worth of penalties are good enough. Well, that's enough time to make a pit stop around this circuit. So you're effectively a pit stop behind on penalties. This is Ferrari, was in P3, he's now come into the pits, been passed by the Spikes, the second Ferrari, also passed now by Andre. Those are the hard runners that have been out since the start of the race. They're actually now running P2, P3, P4, Mango, Spikes and Andre. The only three drivers that started on the hard compound. If Panda is correct, they're going to take those tires to round about lap 20, 21. That means they'll be able to throw in a fresh set of mediums and have a go at all of these guys while their hards are aging. Should give Mango, Spikes and Andre an advantage in the closing stages of the race. They should have a little bit more grip than everybody else. I've always believed the best time to use the softer compound is at the end of the race, because that's when your car's at its lightest. You can probably throw that car around faster than you can at any other point in the race. Lots of lockups out on track. Still 7 drivers with the penalties. The other 7 remain clean. We're waiting to see if somebody is going to tip those scales. Logic. Fastest man on track, 1:16. He's in P6. He's on a brand new set of hards. Now the driver's ahead of him. Andre just ahead of him on track, but a pit stop behind him in the timesheet just lets the Alpine go. Sometimes you think, this guy's so much quicker than me, there's no point in defending, let him go. I don't have the tyres, I don't have the speed, but sometimes it's worth it to just defend. Hold that driver for another lap or two. Even if you're wasting his time and you know you're wasting his time, later on in the race, safety car could come out. If you find yourself in the right part of the racetrack when it does, you can take full advantage. And if you end up losing to that very guy you let past, you're going to feel very silly. Brands is in the pits. Mango is in the pits. Ooh, and there was damage. There was damage on Mango's car because that pit stop took quite a long time. Spikes decided to stay out on track. I think the teammates were in communication. Not only would that have been a double stack, Mango had a broken wing, so it would have been a very long double stack. Panda the only one in the comment section, but I see a lot of viewers. So let me know you're here. Leave a comment. Otherwise I don't know who's in here. Spikes, Convoy, it's the top two. Spikes yet to make a pit stop. He's still on the same set of tyres he started the race on 2 seconds down the road, rather 1.8 seconds down the road is Convoy. He has made a pit stop. He's got 7 laps on those hards. Still no breakages in the race. That's why you're seeing these gaps form. This is Divan now with another 3-second penalty. Just not coming to terms with the circuit, not coming to terms with this layout. I wonder if he's got damage. He doesn't. Thought maybe he had damage and it was just he wasn't able to make the corners, but he keeps on racking up the penalties. And all he can hope for is the misfortune of others. Maybe he can still get himself a P10. The only way he can do that is to stay on the track till the very end. But he's really got to start watching those penalties now, because I know once they get to about 30 seconds, you're at risk of a disqualification. Logic against Spikes, and that was an aggressive move, but he got it done, and there's a virtual safety car being called. Virtual safety car has been called. Of course, this isn't a full safety car. Everybody just needs to slow down to an average speed, drive within a delta, keep their delta green. Divan retires from the session. I think that's what may have triggered this virtual safety car. Of course, you can use the virtual safety car to make a pit stop. It's not going to be as effective as a full safety car because the guys are going to be going a little bit quicker than that. Do we see any? No, we don't. I've seen in the past, sometimes the game says virtual safety car and we have a full safety car, but there's no evidence of a safety car out on track, so I think that is what this is, just the virtual. DRS is enabled. That means that's the end of the virtual safety car. Convoy can chase again. He got awfully close to Logic. Sometimes you can make up a little bit of time there in the virtual safety car if you just tiptoe around that delta, stay right on the edge. It's dangerous. You could get a penalty if you fall on the wrong side of it. But it looks like Convoy did make up a bit of ground on that virtual safety car. He's right on the gearbox of Logic, just 0.3 of a second between the two. Then there's a huge gap down to Cheddar, 4.7 seconds down in P3, Brands P4. But remember, these drivers are all in very different races. Logic 5-lap old hards, Convoy 9-lap old hards, Cheddar 8-lap old hards, and Brands 2-lap old hards. Nobody in the top 5 has the same tyre age. I think those drivers, essentially Convoy, the driver with 9 laps on his hards, I think it's going to be quite a marathon to take those all the way to the end. Not Shumi, now the man at the rear of the field since Divan has retired. Mr. M in P12, Andre just outside the points in P11. It's about a second adrift from Pantry Star, the final points finisher. Gap has opened up now. Logic Convoy 1.1 seconds. That is effectively now out of DRS. And a big gap down to P3. Brands P4. It's Ferrari. Lots of gaps in the field. No real battles to speak of. If we go looking for a battle, we find this one. Spikes versus Virus. It's a battle for a P7. One of only 2 DRS battles currently on track, and this is the closer of the 2. Spikes chasing down the RB. The other DRS battle is this one here. It's for the final points paying position in the race. Might not think there's a big difference between P10 and P11 and what's the significance of just the 1 point. Trust me, it means a lot just to get the 1 point when you haven't had the night you wanted. You can at least say, well, I finished in the points. When you finish on the wrong side of that top 10, hold up, that hurts. So Andre doesn't want to finish on the wrong side of the top 10. That's why he's getting closer and closer to Pantry Star. Let's see if we can get a good view of this. He's going to have to go around the outside. And he's done exactly that. Andre picks up a point, goes up into P10, and crucially he's got no penalties next to his name. That could be so crucial for him. Virus P8, Tiago Maestro P9, the 2 Ferraris in 6 and 7, but at the front it's all Alpine. And now you can see, since he's been able to break that DRS, now Logic just disappearing into the distance. 2.6 seconds now the gap. Convoy will be feeling a little bit helpless there. Logic pulling off into the distance. Not too much Convoy can do to respond about it. 2.6 seconds, the gap continues to grow. And I wonder if this is just coming down to a slight tyre advantage. Logic does have 4 laps advantage on those tyres over Convoy. Shouldn't be crucial at this stage of the race, but it will be crucial towards the end of the race. Either Panda typed that in just after I said it, or we're thinking very alike. Panda's comment: Logic did a fantastic job breaking DRS, but Convoy's tyres are starting to fall off badly. That's what I thought. Obviously broke the DRS. We saw that gap get up to 1.1 seconds. We said it's broken DRS, and then just 2 laps later it looks like he's disappeared down the road. 3.1 seconds. Now Mango picks up a penalty. The only man in the top 4 without a penalty is the leader. So that means his lead is even bigger than the one you see on your timing sheet. Let's just bring up the penalties again so we can get some confirmation, because they've been coming up and we haven't been counting. You look at that. Got 3 seconds for Cheddar. And then we've got 6 seconds apiece for Convoy and Brands. We've got 9 seconds for Natsumi, 12 seconds for Mango, and 19 seconds for Virus. Lap 23 of 32. SAFRL Tier 1 Season 8 here at the Emilia-Romagna circuit, previously known as the San Marino Grand Prix, even though it's not in San Marino. San Marino, about a 30-minute drive. If you're not familiar with San Marino, well, I suppose it's something like Monaco. It's in the middle of Italy, doesn't belong to Italy, it's its own independent country, it's tiny, and it's ranked 215 in FIFA's world rankings. It also has the record for the longest time without a victory. I believe that's sat at 7 years. There's a little bit of history about San Marino and northern Italy. Got to talk about something because there's not much going on track. Logic pulling away. Convoy in P2. Brands P3, none of those drivers are really under pressure. As I say that, just notice that Cheddar is actually quite close to Brands, just half a second between the two of them. I don't think he's going to be close enough this time around to do anything, but if he carries on at this rate, next lap around, that Red Bull could have his hands full trying to defend that position. Merck looking at a double podium. I don't think there's too much they can do about the likes of Logic. Those penalties could come back to bite them. Remember, those are not all 3-second penalties. Some of them are 6, some of them are 9, some of them are 12. So we're going to have a very, very messy field, and we're not going to be able to call it until those official results come out, because we're going to see guys flying up and down the order as they go over the start-finish line. We do have a caution. Don't see a stationary car. That may be an Alpine, but it's back on its way, so no concerns. Of course, when we get to lap 29, then we can call it safe. Can't have any more safety cars with just 3 laps to go. But we're on lap 25, so we still are at risk, and everybody with a penalty next to their name, or multitude of penalties next to their name, should we say, will be hoping a late safety car doesn't come out, because if one did, well, we'd have a very interesting lineup. The most important thing the leader has done is stay out of that penalties column. Effectively, it's a 5-second gap on the timesheets, but it's an 11-second gap in reality. And that Mercedes of Convoy just lost it. I think that's maybe just the tyres. 6 laps to go in the race. If his tyres are in such bad shape at this point, what's he got to work with to defend? He's running out of tools if you don't have the grip. You've got to start looking after the tyres, and once you start looking after the tyres, you're not worrying about ultimate pace anymore. The guys in front start to disappear, and you start to watch that gap behind you. Convoy needs to be a little concerned. He's got penalties next to his name, and the car behind him does not. It's Ferrari, one of the few drivers not to pick up a penalty this evening. Mango also with penalties. Spike's one of the other drivers with no penalties. Sometimes when you keep on cutting the same corner over and over, sometimes you don't want to, but you just have to drive within yourself just a little bit around that particular corner. If you know it's a problem and it's happening time and time again, there's no need to simply add up those penalties, because they're going to destroy your race. Natsumi has retired from the race, but that should not cause any trouble, because I think he retired in the pit lane. So Natsumi will take no further part. We're down to 12 runners from the 14 that started. 10 will score points, 2 will not. The 2 that will not at the moment are Mr. M and Tiago Maestro. they're quite far adrift from the top 10, so they need something very special to happen up the road. With just a few laps to go, you might as well stay there, bring it to the checkered flag, and really just hope for the demise of others. Convoy picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's really getting hard to just keep track. Well, Convoy, that 3-second penalty has now taken him up to 9 seconds. So the guys have really had a hard time on this circuit. Some really quick drivers in this field, some really quality drivers in this field. And I'm watching some of the fastest names I've ever commentated on getting it wrong over the white lines just too many times. 3-second penalty in the race, not good, but okay. But once you start to get to 6 and 9 and 12, well, you're erasing all the hard work you've done in the race. Sometimes you're just chasing down your opponent, looking for every little tenth you can find. And while looking for that tenth, you lose 3 seconds. So there needs to be an element of risk. If you want to win the race, you need to be brave and throw the car around. But having said that, you still need to be wary. Wary of those penalties, wary of those white lines. Because unfortunately that's not how the racing goes. It's not just about the first one to the checkered flag. You've got to have a clean race. Or you could be the first one to the checkered flag and then just watch your name tumble down the order as everybody else crosses that checkered flag behind you. But Logic has done exactly what he needed to do. He's been the quickest man out on track, at least in the final stint of this race. And he stayed out of those penalties. As for the next two, Brands and Cheddar, both penalties next to their name. 6 seconds for Brands, 3 seconds for Cheddar. Spikes picks up another 3-second penalty. That's going to take him up to, well, that's his first 3-second penalty. I was thinking of his teammate. So now both Ferraris in the penalties column. Just 5 drivers not getting any penalties this evening. Mr. Rem, Andre, Pantry Star, It's Free, and your leader, Logic. A lot of viewers this evening, considering I had to start a second stream. I was worried the guys would be in the cockpit of the car and they wouldn't be able to get the second link. But thank you to everyone who has been with us throughout, had good numbers throughout the race. Of course, I doubt it's your first visit to the channel, but if it is your first visit to the channel, remember, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications bell so you'll get a notification every time we upload a race. We do so 4 times a week. Of course, Monday night, what you're watching right now, 8:15, SAFRL Tier 1. Then we return on Wednesday night. We do it all over again, SAFRL. Same league, same name, different tier. Have Tier 2, same circuit, same calendar, just a different set of drivers. Then on a Thursday night we do DRS at 7:30, and on a Sunday evening, rather a late Sunday afternoon, SKR at 6 o'clock. So it is a busy channel, and if you enjoy what you're seeing, remember there's 3 more races a week to watch. Logic in the closing stages. Tiago Maestro now picks up a penalty. So many penalties on your screen. Not that many incidents. Haven't really seen collisions. We can talk about safety cars now because they're not going to come. 31 of 32. So no safety cars in the race, just that one virtual. with no real big incidents. Didn't see the retirement of Divan, but it looked like Natsumi finished in, or retired rather, in the pits. So there was never that incident that triggered the full safety car. And the guys towards the rear of the field that were hoping for exactly that, well, they were left waiting. Logic now coming around to start his final lap. Lap 32 of 32. Gap is 5.1 seconds, but remember Brands has a whole multitude of penalties, so that gap is much more than 5.1 seconds. It's more like 11.1 seconds. Then Cheddar in P3. Remember, Cheddar's also got penalties, but he's only got 3 seconds versus Brands, who has 6. So if Cheddar is able to get within 3 seconds of Brands, he will be able to steal P2 away from him. Unfortunately for him, that gap just going in the wrong direction right now. It was 3.1 seconds at the start of the lap, now it's 3.6 seconds. So I think Brands knows. Just needs to keep that 3-second buffer. Keep his P2, accept the P2. There's not too much he can do about P1. And this is the man in P1. He's about to finish things off. There's the weave. And there we go, over the start finish line, takes the victory. We don't have to worry about penalties, at least for your leader. I'm not going to read out these results. I'm going to let the game work everything out. When the official results come out, I'll read through them, because I think we're going to see a lot of switching in the field. Lots of drivers picking up penalties this evening. First of the two Ferraris, Mango. His teammate, well, he's got to race right to the end. Conboy doing everything he can to chase that Ferrari, but Mango stays just ahead. Really close stuff over the line. And Pantry Star is trying to get the car over the line. He's going to be followed by Virus, who takes the final point. And now we're just waiting for Mr. M. Everybody else has crossed the start-finish line. Some of those drivers would have been a lap behind when the leader went over the line, meaning they didn't need to finish the race. Mr. M will be the final car over the line. There we go, your official results. After all the penalties are confirmed, Logic takes the victory, no penalties next to his name. Then Cheddar P2, Brands P3, that's your podium. It's Ferrari P4, Spikes P5, Mango P6. Conboy did take the fastest lap of the race, so you'll get the extra point. Finishes in P7. Pantry Star P8, Andre P9 with 2 points. Virus gets the final point. Then Mr. M, Tiago Maestro, they're going home empty-handed, as are the two DNFs, Natsumi and Divan. Of course, now the top three, as always, top three and driver of the day. If you would like to join the NFR cool down room, I'll bring you into the comms box. We can have a little chat about your race. So we're just going to give those drivers a 2 or 3 minutes to see if anybody does want to join, and we can just have a mini interview or a mini chat. course, we had problems with the stream early on, but we did get things going at the end, and I'm really grateful that we did, because that was quite the race. Of course, Logic did a fantastic job. Not only was he the quickest man on track, he crucially had no penalties next to his name, and we saw what a difference that made for some of the drivers. Nobody in the cool down room just yet. We'll give them another minute or two. If nobody joins, then we'll call it a night. Of course, if you enjoyed tonight's race, we do this again on Wednesday. Same track, same league, different set of drivers. And while they may not be able to match Tier 1 in pace, they do match Tier 1 in quality. So the close racing you see here on a Monday night, you're going to see close racing on a Wednesday night. Okay, so at this point, it doesn't look like anybody wants to come into the comms box this evening. Sometimes we have a full comms box after the race. Sometimes we have nobody wanting to join. And it looks like tonight nobody's going to be joining. So I think I'm going to call the stream. Thank you to everyone who watched from beginning to end. We had some good numbers this evening. Of course, if it's your first visit to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And of course, I hope to see a lot more of you. If it's not your first visit, remember to leave a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. And we'll be back on Wednesday night to do this all over again. If I don't see you then, Thursday night at 7:30 or Sunday afternoon at 6 p.m. Until next time, thank you everyone, and cheers.